Hey, listen up. I gotta tell you this whole story because it's actually pretty interesting once you sit with it. You know how Trump came back on TV and started talking about crypto? Yeah, the actual president of the United States was joking around on national television about paying off America's huge debt with Bitcoin. The debt right now is sitting at about $36 trillion. That's a crazy number, right? 36 followed by 12 zeros. When he said maybe America could just use Bitcoin to wipe that whole thing out, a lot of people got excited for a second. It sounded bold, almost like a fun idea. But then when you actually stop and run the numbers, the whole thing starts to fall apart pretty quickly. Let me break it down for you like we're just chilling and talking. Suppose the United States government decided to go out and buy 1 million Bitcoin today. At the current price of around $103,000 per Bitcoin, buying that many would cost them roughly $103 billion. Now, 103 billion sounds like an enormous pile of cash, and it is. But when you compare it to the $36 trillion debt, it's nothing. It's like trying to empty the entire Pacific Ocean using just one small garden hose. No matter how hard you try, that hose isn't going to make a real dent. To actually pay off the full 36 trillion using only those 1 million Bitcoin, each single Bitcoin would have to be worth something like $36 million. That means the price would need to jump 360 times higher than where it is right now. Think about that for a minute. 360 times. If Bitcoin is at 103,000 today, it would have to climb all the way up to 36 million per coin. And if you zoom out even more and look at what the total market value of all Bitcoin would have to become to make this work, it comes out to something around $756 trillion. That number is more than 15 times bigger than all the money that exists in the entire world today. It's just not realistic when you look at it that way. Bitcoin is still an amazing thing in its own right. People call it digital gold because it's great at holding value over time. But the problem is, it wasn't really built for moving money around quickly or handling huge payments between countries every single day. It can be slow, the fees can get expensive when things get busy, and it's just not designed for the kind of fast, everyday financial work that the world needs right now. When you mix the math, the liquidity problems, and the technical limits together, the idea of using Bitcoin to clear a $36 trillion debt starts looking pretty much impossible. Okay, so that's the Bitcoin side of the story. Now let's switch gears and talk about XRP, because this is where things start to feel different and a lot more practical. XRP wasn't created just to sit there like digital gold. From day one, it was made for speed, for smooth liquidity, and for actually moving real money around in the real world. It's built for action, for sending value from one place to another fast and cheap. Here's the basic setup with XRP. There are 100 billion XRP in total supply. Out of those, Ripple, the company behind it, currently holds about 37 billion in escrow, which means they're locked away and released slowly over time. That leaves roughly 63 billion XRP that are circulating right now, the ones people and institutions can actually use and trade. But even among those circulating coins, the amount that's really active and liquid at any given moment is probably only 10 to 20% of the total supply. So the usable flowing part is actually much smaller than most people think. Now imagine this future picture. What if the XRP ledger became the main backbone for all the new tokenized finance that's coming? We're talking about central bank digital currencies. Those are like digital versions of regular dollars or euros that governments are starting to create, stablecoins, digital bonds, and trillions upon trillions of dollars moving in cross-border transfers every day. If the system started handling something like $50 trillion worth of value flowing through it, and only about 10 billion XRP were actively circulating and doing the work, then each XRP could realistically be worth around $5,000. And if for some reason the circulating supply tightened even more, say down to 5 billion XRP actually being used, then the price could easily double to something like $10,000 per coin. See how different that feels from the Bitcoin example? With Bitcoin, you'd need an absolutely insane total market cap of 750 trillion or more, which is way beyond anything reasonable. With XRP, the numbers stay grounded because they're tied to real liquidity and actual money that's moving around every day. It doesn't require the entire world's wealth to multiply 15 times over. It feels reachable because it's built on real usage and real demand. Let me tell you a bit more about how Ripple actually works as a company, because it's not just another random crypto project floating around. Their main business model is called on-demand liquidity, or ODL for short. Basically, it lets banks, big institutions, and payment companies send money instantly across borders without all the usual delays and high costs. Instead of waiting days and paying big fees, the money can move in just a few seconds. A bunch of really important global banks and institutions have already been quietly checking this out. Even though they haven't made huge public announcements yet, many of them have shown up at Ripple's Swell conferences to learn more and explore how they could bring XRP into their own systems. We're talking about heavy hitters like JP Morgan, Bank of America, BlackRock, Fidelity, NASDAQ, and BNY Mellon. These are the kinds of names that move serious money around the world every single day. The fact that they're even attending these events and studying the technology tells you something is happening behind the scenes. Think about what's going on in the world right now with money. Almost every major country is working on launching its own digital currency, like a digital euro, digital dollar, or whatever their version will be. The problem is these new digital currencies won't automatically talk to each other. They'll need some kind of bridge or connector to move value smoothly between different countries and different systems. That's exactly the spot where XRP is designed to fit in perfectly, acting as that neutral bridge asset that helps everything flow. On top of all that, there's this massive trend happening called tokenization. Pretty much every kind of real-world asset you can think of, stocks, bonds, real estate, commodities, even art, is starting to get turned into digital tokens on blockchains. Experts say that over $800 trillion worth of assets could end up tokenized in the coming years. That's an unbelievable amount of value. Even if only a small fraction of that starts moving through the XRP ledger, the demand for XRP would grow enormously because it would be the efficient way to handle all those transfers. Ripple isn't sitting still either. They recently bought a company called Marco, which is a digital asset custody platform, for nearly $250 million. This move makes sure they have the secure infrastructure needed to handle tokenized assets and central bank digital currencies safely and professionally. It shows that Ripple really understands where the future is headed. It's not just about holding money anymore, it's about moving value quickly, securely, and at massive scale. XRP isn't just some theory or future dream either. It's already being used in the real world today. There are actual payment corridors where millions of dollars are moving every day using XRP. You can find it working between the United States and Mexico, in Japan, the Philippines, Singapore, Australia, and even in parts of the Middle East. In these places, money crosses borders in just a few seconds instead of days. Banks and companies using it are saving up to 70% on fees compared to the old SWIFT system that everyone used before. That's a huge saving when you're talking about millions or billions of dollars. Some of the companies already processing these transactions with Ripple include Tranglo, Noti, and Pipple. These aren't small retail traders buying and selling for fun. These are serious institutional transfers between big organizations. Real money, real businesses, real speed. Even big international organizations have taken notice. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the Bank for International Settlements, BIS, have mentioned Ripple and XRP in several of their official papers. They talk about it as a possible solution for making settlement systems faster and more interoperable, meaning different countries' financial systems can actually work together smoothly. Here's another cool thing about XRP that adds to its long-term strength. Every single time someone makes a transaction on the XRP ledger, there's a tiny fee that has to be paid. That fee doesn't go to anyone. It gets destroyed or burned forever. It's gone from the total supply. Now, when you imagine trillions of dollars moving through the system every single day, all those tiny fees start adding up. Over time, this burning process creates real scarcity. The more the network gets used, the fewer XRP there are available. That scarcity comes from actual utility and real-world usage, not from hype or marketing. Every bank, every institution, and every central bank digital currency that connects to the XRP ledger adds more demand and makes the whole system stronger and more liquid. So when could the big breakout moment for XRP actually happen? It probably won't be some random day. It will likely be when several important pieces finally line up together. First, we need clearer global regulations around digital assets. The ongoing SEC case against Ripple, when it finally settles, could set a positive example for the whole industry and bring more confidence. Second, the old legacy financial systems that are slow and expensive need to be upgraded or replaced. Third, central banks around the world will start rolling out their CBDCs, and they'll need efficient ways to connect them. Fourth, all that spiraling government debt and inefficient payment rails will keep pushing everyone to look for better solutions. Fifth, the huge wave of tokenization will bring trillions of dollars worth of assets onto blockchains, and they'll all need a reliable bridge asset to move between different systems. Once those things start clicking, regular people will begin to notice that XRP has already been quietly working in the background for years. When the public sees real adoption and real usage, confidence can shoot up very quickly. When regulation, real necessity, and ready technology all come together at the same time, The transformation of the global financial system could happen surprisingly fast, almost overnight in some ways. Trump's funny comment about Bitcoin definitely grabbed a lot of headlines and got people talking. But when you look at the reality, Bitcoin simply isn't built to handle settlement at a national or global scale the way big institutions and governments would need. It's just not made for that kind of constant, high-volume, fast movement. XRP, on the other hand, was designed exactly for this kind of work. It already has the technology, the partnerships, and the growing adoption to move trillions of dollars efficiently and securely. Ripple has been working quietly in the background for years, building the infrastructure for what could become a new global financial system. In this new setup, XRP would act as the main liquidity layer sitting underneath regular fiat currencies and all the new tokenized assets. It's the oil that keeps everything running smoothly. This isn't wild speculation or crazy dreams. It's the actual evolution of how money works that's happening step by step right now in front of us. If you're someone who wants to get positioned ahead of this big transformation, then paying close attention to how XRP gets adopted over the next few years could turn out to be one of the smartest decisions you make in your lifetime. Some people are already talking about price levels like 2,500 XRP by February as a possible starting point when you consider where utility-driven prices could realistically go. This isn't just about buying some crypto and hoping the price goes up. It's about understanding that the entire way money moves around the world is changing, and XRP is right in the middle of that change. At the end of the day, the game is shifting fast. You basically have two paths in front of you. You can be like most people, waiting on the sidelines, watching everything happen, and then later wishing you had jumped in earlier and telling yourself, "I'll never miss the next one." Or you can be the kind of person who sees the quiet infrastructure shift happening behind all the noise, understands what's really going on, and gets positioned early, not because of random hype, but because you saw the real foundation being built. Some moments in history are loud and obvious to everyone, but the ones that truly change everything often stay quiet right up until the moment they suddenly aren't quiet anymore. This feels like one of those quiet but huge moments. While the world keeps getting distracted by all kinds of other news and noise, XRP has been steadily moving toward its final form, getting ready for the role it was built to play. So stay sharp, keep learning, and stay informed. The move you make now, or don't make, could be something you remember for a very long time. This isn't the end of the story at all. Honestly, it feels like it's just getting started.